There is no place for place. How can a place house the maker of all space? Or the vast sky enclose the maker of heaven? He told me, I am a homeless treasure. The world was made to give you a place to stand and see me. Tell me, if the one you seek is placeless, why put your shoes on? The real road is found by polishing the mirror of your heart. I think of this poem a lot on my spiritual journey. No matter how far I think I have traveled, this poem reminds me that I still need to travel down the real road and continue polishing my mirror, so that the only reflection that matters, the beloved, may actually show. Broken into 3 parts or stages of the spiritual journey, the poem's first part tells us of someone who has been traveling on their quest for some time, only to eventually make a profound realization. There is no place. Place is simply a concept in our minds, not actual reality. It is a form of perception we use to navigate this material world and human life. But close your eyes and what do you actually see? Where are you truly? Every place that you think you are in is only a name, only a description or label that others have defined and generations thereafter have unquestioningly accepted. These labels have divided the world, the universe, into infinite locations, but ultimately there is no such location. Therefore, Sanai asks the profound questions. How can a place house the maker of all space? Or the vast sky enclose the maker of heaven? The maker of all space and of heaven is everywhere and nowhere all at once. And if we, at our deepest level, are reflections of the maker, then aren't we also everywhere and nowhere? A single place cannot capture, contain, or describe our essence. If we identify ourselves not by the limited confines of our material body, but rather by the most basic component of our existence, our breath, is our breath really different from someone else's? Or is it true that our breath is everywhere and in everyone? One of Sanai's famous admirers, Rumi, understood very well that we are not our bodies. He said in his famous poem, Lose Yourself, "Escape from this earthly form, for this body is a chain and you are its prisoner. Smash through the prison wall and walk outside with the kings and princess." We grow up seeing the world as rays of different colors, or individual people and personalities, and not as the one prism or source that gives birth to all those colors. But if we go back to our source, we'll see that we are no different from it, and that like it, we can't be contained by imperfect concepts like a sense of place. In fact, it's possible that the heaven mentioned here is not a real place after all, but rather a state of being. A level one reaches when they have let go entirely of this material world, filled with personal desires and unconscious selfishness. The vast sky can be both literal and figurative. In the former, its meaning is clear. How can the sky cover Source, who is not only the sky, but also everything else, such as the space around it? But there could also be a more esoteric meaning here, with the vast sky representing our vast intellect that continues to flourish as we age before eventually peaking and then declining. Seen in this light, the question then becomes, how can reason or thought ever behold Source? Source is beyond thought and reason. After having contemplated these two questions in the first stanza, the seeker has now earned the presence of Source, has now earned the honor of hearing directly from the wisdom of God. It is here that we move to the second stage of the journey and the second stanza of the poem, where Sanai is in direct conversation with God. He told me, I am a homeless treasure. The world was made to give you a place to stand and see me. I love the use of the word homeless here. Typically, we think of being homeless as a bad thing, as something to pity. We all love the comforts of being in our own home, and to not have a home, to not have a place where we feel we belong, is sometimes perceived as the most depressing feeling ever. But as comforting as having a home can be, it can also limit our spiritual growth. It creates a divide between what is comfortable, our home, and what is not, the outside world. In other words, duality is created when there is only one. But as the seeker learns, the one cannot have a single home because it lives everywhere. It both has a home and doesn't have a home. Both are one and the same. Yet when juxtaposed with the word treasure, homeless takes on an even richer meaning. Being homeless in this context doesn't mean that Source has no place where it belongs. On the contrary, it means that Source is so at peace everywhere, so much so that everywhere is a home, a place where it belongs. Source can live in your heart and in my heart, two very different places on the surface, and still be equally at home in both places, because both places are actually one. This is the meaning of being a homeless treasure. You are so at peace everywhere you are, and with everyone you're with, that everywhere you go, home will be waiting for you. This world and life itself did not need to be created. It was only created to help us see the uniformity in the duality. In other words, it's hard for us to see the one without first seeing the many. It's hard for us to see the light without first seeing the dark. Our intellect needs contrast in order to perceive and make sense of things. And it's no surprise why we always unconsciously divide the world into two buckets: the things we like and the things we don't like. But after seeing the multiplicity of the world, we then start to see patterns and interconnectedness. The breath is a common denominator, but there are countless other examples of these patterns. Think about the seasons, for example. We see them not only in the physical world, but also in our own lifespan as well, from the spring of our birth to the winter of our death. The more we pay attention to the world around us, the more we see that everything is, in fact, just one. Once we see the oneness and uniformity in the world, we then are presented with a dilemma. If there really are no places in our life, how do we become closer with God? How do we reunite with Source if there is no physical journey that we must travel? These questions take us to the third and final stanza of the poem, where everything finally becomes clear. Tell me, if the one you seek is placeless, why put your shoes on? The real road is found by polishing the mirror of your heart. The real road has been inside us this whole time, in our heart. There is no place we need to go, no journey we need to travel to arrive at this heaven. We must simply polish the mirror of our heart. Our mirrors are dusty. In other words, they are so full of self. And so it's hard to see our true reflection. We have fallen in love so much with our egos, our false self, that we have forgotten our true essence. Therefore, we need to constantly polish that mirror. We need to constantly work on ourselves, our thoughts, our habits. We need to change our old ways of thinking and start being more. We need to be so free of advancing our individual needs that all we think of is the beloved and how we can offer gifts of selfless love on its behalf. In the words of Rumi, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Ultimately, the image you seek is already there in the mirror. You just have to polish it. I used to think becoming enlightened meant having to physically journey on some sort of noble quest that involved extensive reading, meditation, pilgrimage, and visiting holy sites and places of worship. And while none of these things are bad and can often help you find the real road, sometimes we just need to follow Sanai's wise words.